Listen, I don't look like Jeanette McCurdy, okay? It's just the bangs, and it's just the blonde hair. Stop it. I should probably clean that up. Hello, today I'm serving piping hot tea, except I don't like tea, so it's coffee. So I thought I would share the story of my very first college roommate, because it's a doozy. Since I'm still mad about it, 2 years later, is it 3 years? Oh my gosh, it's been 3 years. Let it go. Since I'm still mad about it 3 years later, I thought I would vent to a ton of strangers on the internet. In 2015, I started my freshman year of college, and I was 19 because I took a gap year between high school and college because I didn't want to go to college. And I had met my roommate before move-in day. We met up for lunch at Chipotle, and we were vibing, we were chilling. I was like, this is gonna be it. I just met my roommate and future best friend for life, right? That's what I expected from college. I had high hopes. I was dreaming the biggest of dreams. College was going to be the best years of my life. When we met up for lunch, she told me something that should have been red flag numero uno, which was,
I'm like super real. Like, I'll always tell you if I have a problem with you.
Absolutely not. The minute someone tells you that, just know from here on out that they are lying. They're a liar. So it was move-in day, and she'd already moved in. When my family came to move my stuff in, her family left to give us like room and stuff. So we had room to move in, and also so I could cry about 4 or 5 times before she came back. So fast forward, we just got done with freshman orientation, and we're sitting in the room. Despite the fact that we're still pretty much strangers, we're about to spend the night in the same room together, and she's like sitting on my bed and I'm braiding her hair like a gosh darn Disney movie. We had a blissful first week together. We had like this little chalkboard on the side of our door that we would like write little notes to each other. And then week 2 happened, and let me jump back a little bit. So she told me that she was gonna be playing lacrosse, that's the whole reason she got to go to the school, because she got a scholarship to play lacrosse. Lacrosse was still a pretty new sport at our school, so when I say that they were willing to take in literally anyone who was willing to play, I mean that she had never played the sport a day in her life. She got a whole scholarship to come play the sport at our school. So the second week began, and so did lacrosse practice. And mind you, since she'd never played a sport before, she'd never owned a pair of cleats. And I told her, hey, just so you know, like, cleats will sour really easy. So what you need to do whenever you get them wet is stuff them with newspaper and then set them on like a windowsill, just anywhere in the sun, so that they can dry out before they sour. Naturally, after her very first practice, she took her cleats off and threw them into a box in the dark corner of the room. And they soured. If you've never smelled sour cleats, you are blessed and highly favored. But for the rest of us bottom feeders, there are no words in the English language, I think, that can adequately describe just how wretched of a smell this is. From the 7th circle of hell this smell comes from. It's not just like you walk past it and you get a little whiff and it's bad. No, it's a gas that fills the container that it's in to the brim. Everything its little fingers touch, it soaks into, Your clothes stank. Your bed sheets stank. Your towels stank. Cleat smell has no mercy. The smell was so bad in our room that literally just walking by our door, even when it's shut, you could smell it. People were complaining, not just me, like other people in the dorm who had to walk by our door like dreaded our room. I asked her nicely 4 separate times over like the course of like 2 months. So at least 2 months, I asked her nicely to please keep her cleats outside, just like literally every other athlete in the dorm. Everyone left their cleats outside. I'm not exaggerating. So sometimes the cleats would disappear after I asked her, but most of the time they would reappear within like a day or two. I would just wake up bright and early, 7 a.m. with Satan himself burning my nose hairs one by one. So after about the 3rd time of asking her nicely, this time the cleats were back in the room, but she had like tied them in a Walmart bag. And I don't know why she thought that thin sheet of plastic was any defense against the dark arts. I was just desperate. and took another Walmart bag and tied it like underneath so it was like double bagged, thinking like maybe that'll contain the smell at least just to this area. And it didn't work, but apparently she didn't like that. And now maybe I was wrong. I did touch her stuff without her permission. But, like, I didn't move the cleats. They stayed where they were. All I did was just tie it was my own Walmart bag. I didn't steal anything from her. It was something I thought would benefit both of us. That way we weren't living in the devil's armpit. But apparently she took offense to that. Did she ever tell me? No. By the 5th time, it was a sneak attack. It was just placed in my lap and I was like, this is my time to strike. Her and her friend were standing in her room talking about something and they were, like, right in front of my bed. I'm not sure why, because her friend didn't like me and I didn't like her. And apparently my roommate didn't like me, but up until this point, I had assumed we were friends, right? Her friend had just happened to mention, like, dude, it smells really bad in here. To which my roommate replies,
yeah, but I'll get used to it.
So I snapped back and I was like, yeah, but I won't. A hush fell over the room. She looked at me, I looked at her, she looked to her friend looked to me, I looked to her friend, and Satan was looking at all of us. They said, like, something and then they just left the room, and I was just fuming. No one else lives here? She just lives here. I don't live in this room. It wasn't just me smelling the cleats. She did smell the cleats. She was just okay with stinking. So the cleats had disappeared and I thought, okay, finally. My hard work paid off. For like a week. And then one day I came back from class. I was tired. I was angry at so many other things going on that just come with the burdens of college life as well as teen angst. I stood in front of the door and I paused for a moment. There was an evil energy just radiating through the door. Something was wrong. When my palm touched the doorknob, it started to burn a little bit and cracked the door open. And almost immediately, Satan had returned. It was only like 10 a.m., which that's like the equivalent to 6:30 in the morning for some people. I just shouted, "Are you kidding me?" as I slammed the door shut, ran down the stairs, set up camp in the lobby, and texted an RA. This was it. I'm not a little snitch. I'm not a snitch. But that was it. I mean, how many times can you ask someone to keep their cleats outside? So it was like the first week of October, and I met with an RA, and I told her the whole story. I told her about how I asked nicely 4 times, and then the 5th time I asked with a little spice, but I don't think it was unwarranted. I still admitted it because I didn't want it to be held against me in court. The RA tells me that she also plays lacrosse, and she also keeps her cleats outside because she knows how bad they smell, and she would never do that to her roommate. So she agrees to talk to my roommate because they're actually like sort of acquaintances, and that night the cleats are gone. Does my roommate say anything to me about it? No. And then the next day I'm approached by the RD, which if you don't know, the RD is residential director. They're like in charge of the whole dorm. They're like above the RAs. So the RD asks to meet with me, and we sit down, and this is kind of how the conversation goes. So I've heard there's been some problems with the roommate situation. Problems plural? I only knew of one problem. Well, apparently you two haven't been getting along. I've been told that she's not allowed to touch anything on your side of the room, but you're really offended by her cleats, and that you've gone through her stuff, and that you've tried to hide the cleats before. I never did any of that. I'm not here to pick sides. You're gonna stay in your room, but you're getting a new roommate, and your current roommate's gonna be moving out to another girl's room. You're not here to pick sides? You're not picking sides, but you're switching up the roommates without my consent and without hearing my side? The next day I get a new roommate. Me and her got along fine. I had no issues. My former roommate, however, already had an issue with her roommate by December and had told everyone that this girl was gay and that she felt uncomfortable getting undressed in the room, so she would have to go to the bathroom to get changed. And I knew that girl. She wasn't gay. And even if she was not interested in my roommate. I can tell you that faux show. So by spring semester, she had a new roommate. And then by the end of spring semester, hated that one too. So, are you sensing a pattern here? Because I sure am. In January of 2017, I moved home from school because I was so miserable there. I was so lonely. I had no friends. So I moved home because it's cheaper. Why live somewhere where literally no one likes you? So it's fall of 2017. I've been living at home for a while, and school is actually a little more enjoyable when you don't live there, in my opinion, because you realize just how insignificant that culture really is. So I'm hanging out with a group of college kids from my church, and one of them happened to actually know my former roommate and sort of been friends with her, and she tells me that my former roommate was telling everyone, including her, that I threw her shoes out the window.
What?
Despite the fact that every window in that dorm had an AC unit in it. It was impossible to even open the window. And people believed her. People who lived in that dorm just believed her. Oh, she threw your shoes out the window. That's definitely plausible. Okay. So this girl I was talking to told me everyone thought I was crazy. Like I said, I couldn't make friends at school and I didn't know why. It seemed like I got along with people just fine, but I was just generally ignored. Or like I would make friends with someone for a little while, then they would just drift away from me or like not include me in stuff, never invite me to stuff. And I never understood why. That gets to you after a while, you know, especially a year and a half that I lived there, when you feel like no one wants to be your friend. Maybe I'm not worthy of friendship and love. It gets to you just a smidge, just a little bit, just a wee bit. Couldn't make friends. People believed I was crazy because this one girl told them I was crazy. It took 2 years for me to find out. But yeah, cheers to my ex-roommate. She almost single-handedly ruined the first 2 years of college for me. I will forever be scarred by that experience. And even now, as I'm about to graduate, I still have bitterness for not only her, but everyone in the school. I just assume everyone there is my enemy, which probably isn't true, but they are. I already shot this video once and edited it in its entirety. There's actually an exported full version on my computer, and I hated it. So I hope this was sort of interesting. To me, it's like a big milestone in my life, a big thorn in my side. But yeah, let me know if you liked any part of this video. I think there's a way you can let me know. There's like something you can click. I forget the name of it. I want to see some good comments on this video. So if you've ever smelled sour cleats, I want you to leave a comment of a way you would describe the smell for people who have never smelled it before. Please hit subscribe or I will hide a pair of sour cleats in your room where you can't find them, so you have to suffer for all of eternity. And if you do subscribe, you become a brat. No, it's okay. It's like in a good way. Please don't unsubscribe. No. All right, my little brats, I will see you in the next one. Cheers.
I put my foot in my mouth again.